The morning sky above Earth turned dark as something massive blocked out the sun. Admiral Kyle Harrison stood on the bridge of his battleship, Liberty, and watched through the viewport as a ship longer than any city appeared in space above them. The alien vessel was black and covered in strange lights that pulsed like a heartbeat. Its hull stretched 15 kilometers from front to back and cast shadows across entire countries below. Harrison grabbed his communication device and spoke quickly to his crew. All ships prepare for battle stations. I want every weapon we have pointed at that thing. The Earth Defense Fleet had been humanity's pride for decades. Their ships carried the most advanced weapons humans had ever built. Nuclear missiles, plasma cannons, and laser arrays that could cut through steel like paper. The weapons fired. Bright streaks of light and explosions filled the space around the alien ship. Harrison watched as humanity's most powerful attacks hit the vessel's surface. Nothing happened. Not even a scratch appeared on the dark hull. The alien ship's shields absorbed every blast like raindrops hitting an ocean. A face appeared on the main screen. It was not human. The creature had green-scaled skin and yellow eyes that seemed to glow. Its mouth was filled with sharp teeth, and when it spoke, the voice was cold and harsh. I am Commander Zethka of the Hegemony Empire. Your weapons are useless against us. Stop this foolish attack. Harrison felt his stomach drop. Years of training and preparation meant nothing against technology this advanced. This is Admiral Kyle Harrison of Earth Defense Fleet. State your business here. Zethka's mouth curved into what might have been a smile. We are here to collect what belongs to the Empire. Your world has been selected for integration into our domain. You will surrender 70% of your population to serve as workers in our factories and mines. Your remaining people will provide us with all military technology and resources. You have 30 of your Earth days to comply. The alien commander continued speaking as if discussing the weather. Any attempt to resist will result in the complete sterilization of your planet. We have done this to 47 other worlds. That chose defiance over wisdom. Do not become the 48th. The screen went dark. Harrison stared at the empty display for several seconds before turning to his communications officer. Get me President Martinez immediately. Priority 1 emergency channel. Within minutes, every world leader was connected to the same call. President Lisa Martinez sat in the White House Situation Room, surrounded by her top advisors. Her face was pale, but her voice remained steady. Admiral Harrison, confirm what we just heard. Confirmed, Madam President. They want 70% of our population as slaves and complete surrender of all military assets. The alternative is extinction. Harrison's words hung heavy in the air. Defense Secretary Carl Johnson spoke first. We have to consider surrender. These aliens destroyed our entire attack without effort. Their ship alone could probably wipe out every city on Earth. Surrender means watching billions of our people dragged away to die in alien mines, said General Pete Adams from his position at the Pentagon. That's not surrender. That's slow genocide. President Martinez looked around the room at her advisors. Each face showed the same mix of fear and desperation. Options, people. I need options. Dr. Rachel Stone had been silent until now. She was a small woman with gray hair who rarely spoke in these meetings. When she did talk, people listened. There might be another way, she said quietly. All eyes turned to her. Project Lazarus has been working with recovered alien technology for the past 8 years. We've made some breakthroughs that the public doesn't know about. What kind of breakthroughs? Martinez asked. Weapons, ships, defense systems. Nothing as advanced as what we just saw, but different from what they might expect. Stone's voice grew stronger. The hegemony has conquered dozens of worlds. Every species they defeated probably used conventional weapons similar to what we just tried. They've never faced human innovation. Carl Johnson shook his head. You're talking about experimental technology against an empire that spans the galaxy. It's suicide. Maybe, Stone replied. But it's better than watching our children become slaves. General Adams leaned forward. What exactly are you proposing, Doctor? We make them think we're surrendering while we prepare to fight back. Human history is full of smaller forces defeating larger ones through surprise and unconventional tactics. We need time to deploy our hidden assets. President Martinez was quiet for a long moment. Outside the window, she could see people in the streets looking up at the dark shape in the sky. Some were crying, others praying, many just standing in stunned silence. How long would you need? The full 30 days. We have weapons and ships they've never seen before, but we need time to get them into position. We also need intelligence on their weaknesses. Admiral Harrison's voice came through the speakers. I can arrange reconnaissance missions. Captain Amy Walsh has a stealth ship that might be able to get close without being detected. The risk is enormous, Johnson said. If they discover our deception, they might attack immediately instead of waiting 30 days. Martinez stood up and walked to the window. The alien ship hung in the sky like a dark storm cloud. The risk of surrender is greater. At least this way we die fighting instead of on our knees. She turned back to the room. Dr. Stone, you have authorization to deploy everything Project Lazarus has developed. General Adams, begin moving our forces into position under the guise of evacuation procedures. Admiral Harrison, I want to know everything about that ship and its crew. The meeting continued for 2 more hours as they planned humanity's desperate amble. Captain Danny Torres would lead a faked diplomatic mission to the alien ship. His real job would be gathering intelligence and planting surveillance devices. Meanwhile, construction crews would work around the clock, building weapons that had only existed in laboratory tests. As the sun set behind the alien vessel, President Martinez addressed the world. She announced that Earth would consider the hegemony's demands while preparing for possible evacuation. She did not mention the secret preparations beginning in hidden facilities across the globe. In a bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Colonel Jake Miller coordinated the most important military operation in human history. Scientists and soldiers worked side by side, building humanity's last hope. Dr. Kevin Brooks welded alien energy cells into prototype battlesuits while his daughter, Sarah, tested weapons that fired concentrated plasma. The clock was ticking. In 30 days, Earth would either be free or dead. Commander Zithka expected humans to surrender like every other species before them. He was about to learn that humans were different. They had something the hegemony had never encountered in their centuries of conquest. They had nothing left to lose. The first fake prisoner transport ships launched from Earth 3 days after the ultimatum. To any watching alien eyes, it looked like humanity had begun surrendering. The ships were old cargo vessels painted with prison markings and filled with what appeared to be terrified civilians. In reality, each transport carried 50 elite Marines armed with weapons the hegemony had never seen. Captain Danny Torres sat in the pilot seat of the diplomatic shuttle heading toward the massive alien mothership. His hands were steady on the controls, but his heart was racing. Behind him sat 5 other officers, all volunteers who knew they might not return. Their mission was simple in theory, but deadly in practice. They had to convince Commander Zethka that Earth was ready to surrender while secretly gathering intelligence about hegemony technology and defenses. The shuttle docked with the alien vessel through an airlock that barely fit their small ship. Torres stepped out first and immediately felt the difference in gravity. The air smelled strange, like metal and something sweet that made his nose burn. Alien guards with weapons that hummed with energy escorted the human delegation through corridors that stretched endlessly in all directions. Commander. Zethka waited for them in a vast chamber with walls covered in displays showing star maps and fleet positions. The alien commander stood nearly 8 feet tall, and his scaled skin reflected the light from dozens of screens. "So the humans have come to discuss terms of surrender," he said through a translation device that made his voice sound even more threatening. Torres bowed slightly, playing his role as a defeated diplomat. "President Martinez sends her regards. We need time to organize the evacuation of 70% of our population. The logistics are complicated. Time is what you do not have, human. Your species moves too slowly. Perhaps we should reduce your world to ash and take what workers survive." Zethka's yellow eyes studied Torres carefully. While Torres kept the alien commander talking, the other members of his team moved quietly through the ship. Lieutenant Bob Clark had training in alien technology and managed to access several computer terminals while pretending to use bathroom facilities. Each time he plugged in a small device that would copy data and send it back to Earth through quantum transmission. On Earth, the real preparations were happening in secret. Dr. Rachel Stone stood in a laboratory 500 feet underground, watching her scientists work on weapons that defied everything humans thought they knew about physics. The quantum torpedoes looked like ordinary missiles, but they could phase through energy shields by existing in multiple dimensions at once. Neural disruptor mines appeared to be simple metal spheres, but they contained technology that could scramble any computer system within a mile. The hardest part was making everything look normal on the surface. Fake evacuation centers opened in major cities, where actors pretended to register people for transport to the alien ships. Real families were moved to underground shelters that had been built in secret over the past decade. News reporters, who were told the truth about the plan, helped spread stories about human surrender while secretly documenting the resistance preparations. Dr. Kevin Brooks worked 18 hours a day in his laboratory perfecting the human battle suits. Each suit was powered by alien energy cells that had been recovered from previous encounters with other species. The weapons could fire concentrated plasma bursts that would burn through the strongest materials. The suits also contained life support systems that would let soldiers fight in space or on alien worlds. His daughter Sarah had been chosen to test the first completed battle suit despite the dangerous instability of its power core. She stood in the testing chamber wearing 50 pounds of alien technology, while her father watched nervously from behind protective glass. "Power levels are stable," she called out. "Weapons systems online. I can see everything within 100 yards through the helmet display." The suit made her incredibly strong and fast. She could lift objects that normally required 3 people and move faster than any human had ever moved before. The plasma weapons could punch holes through steel, targets from across the testing range. But the power core made strange noises and sometimes sparked in ways that worried the scientists. Meanwhile, Captain Amy Walsh piloted her stealth ship Nightfall through the outer solar system, staying hidden behind asteroids and using advanced camouflage systems to avoid detection. Her job was to track hegemony patrol ships and map their movement patterns. The information she gathered would be crucial when the real fighting began. The aliens grew suspicious as the days passed. Sub-Commander Nextor, Zethka's second in command, noticed that human communications were too organized for a species facing extinction. "They are planning something," he warned. "No species surrenders this efficiently. Usually there is panic, riots, desperate attempts at escape." Commander Zethka dismissed his concerns with a wave of his clawed hand. "Humans are simply more organized than most primitives. They understand that resistance is futile. In 2 more weeks, we will have our workers, and their planet will serve the Empire." But Nextal continued watching human activities through their surveillance systems. He saw the fake evacuation centers and the ships moving in patterns that seemed too coordinated for refugees. Something was wrong, but he could not determine exactly what the humans were planning. On day 15, Torres and his team returned to Earth with stolen data about hegemony fleet positions, ship designs, and defensive capabilities. The information revealed that the aliens had spread their forces across the solar system to prevent any escape attempts. Their ships were powerful, but they relied entirely on energy shields for protection. The neural disruptor mines would be able to penetrate those defenses. Colonel Jake Miller coordinated the final preparations from his command bunker. Earth's military forces repositioned under the guise of evacuation duties. Orbital weapons platforms, disguised as communication satellites, moved into attack positions. Special forces teams infiltrated alien outposts on Mars and the moons of Jupiter, waiting for the signal to strike. President Martinez met with world leaders one final time before the attack. In 72 hours, we either win our freedom or we die fighting for it. The aliens expect us to surrender like every other species before us. They are about to learn that humans are different. The countdown had begun. Humanity's greatest. Deception was nearly complete, and soon the hegemony would discover that demanding tribute from Earth was the worst mistake they had ever made. The attack began at exactly 6 a.m. on day 30. Across the solar system, humans who had been pretending to surrender for weeks suddenly revealed their true intentions. The fake prisoner transport ships that had been docking with alien vessels for days opened their cargo bays and released squads of armed Marines. Instead of frightened civilians, Commander Zefka was reviewing surrender documents in his command chamber when alarms began screaming throughout his ship. "What is happening?" he demanded as his bridge crew frantically worked at their control stations. "The human transports are attacking," Sub-Commander Nextall reported with shock in his voice. "They are not prisoners. They are soldiers." On the mothership's lower decks, 50 human Marines, led by Sergeant Roy Campbell, fought their way through corridors filled with confused alien guards. The hegemony troops had expected to process another shipment of human slaves, not face warriors. In advanced battlesuits carrying weapons that cut through their armor like it was made of paper, Campbell's suit enhanced his strength and speed while protecting him from alien energy weapons. He moved through the ship's passages faster than the aliens could react, his plasma rifle burning holes through everything in his path. "Deck 7 secured," he called into his radio, moving to the engine room. At the same time, Admiral Kyle Harrison stood on the bridge of his battleship Liberty and watched as his entire fleet dropped their pretense of surrender. For weeks, Earth ships had been positioning themselves as if preparing for evacuation. Now they revealed hidden weapons and opened fire with quantum torpedoes that phased through hegemony shields like they did not exist. The first alien destroyer exploded in a brilliant flash of light that could be seen from Earth's surface. Then, another. The hegemony fleet, which had been confident in their superiority for 30 days, suddenly found themselves under attack from weapons they had never encountered before. Captain Amy Walsh brought her stealth ship Nightfall out of hiding from behind Jupiter's largest moon. She had been waiting in silence for hours, watching the alien patrol ships follow their predictable routes. Now she launched a full spread of neural disruptor, mines that sailed invisibly through space toward their targets. The mines activated when they reached the hegemony ships, sending electromagnetic pulses that scrambled every computer system within their range. 3 alien cruisers lost power simultaneously, their crews helpless as their vessels drifted dead in space. Walsh smiled grimly as she targeted the disabled ships with conventional missiles. "That's for threatening our world," she said as the cruisers exploded one by one. Back on the alien mothership, Lieutenant Sarah Brooks led another team of Marines toward the bridge. Her experimental battlesuit was heavier than the others and made strange humming noises, but it was also more powerful. When alien guards fired their energy weapons at her, The beams bounced harmlessly off her armor's advanced shielding. She reached the bridge, just as Commander Zethka was trying to contact his other ships for help. The alien commander turned to face her, his yellow eyes wide with something humans had never seen in them before. Fear. "Impossible," Zethka hissed. "Your species is primitive. You have no weapons that can threaten the hegemony." Sarah raised her plasma rifle and aimed it at the alien's chest. "You should have done your research better." She pulled the trigger and watched as the concentrated energy beam burned through Zethka's armor and sent him crashing to the floor. The bridge crew surrendered immediately. Without their commander, the alien soldiers had no idea how to respond to an attack they had never imagined possible. Sarah's team secured the ship's control systems, while other Marines fought their way through the remaining decks. On Earth, Dr. Rachel Stone activated the secret weapon that humanity had been building during the entire 30-day period. Hidden beneath the planet's surface was an orbital cannon that fired concentrated beams of exotic matter. The weapon had taken every scientist on the planet working together to create, and it could destroy capital ships with a single shot. The cannon's first blast reached space in seconds and struck the hegemony's second-largest vessel, the Alien. Ship simply vanished in a flash of energy, so bright it lit up the entire solar system. Every remaining hegemony ship detected the explosion and realized that the humans possessed weapons more dangerous than anything in their arsenal. General Pete Adams coordinated the ground assault on Mars and Europa, where hegemony forces had established mining colonies during their initial show of strength. Human Marines equipped with the new battlesuits landed on both worlds simultaneously, catching the alien occupiers completely off guard. The aliens had been expecting to fight primitive humans with basic weapons. Instead, they faced soldiers who could move faster than their eyes could follow and carried guns that melted through their strongest fortifications. The battle for Mars lasted only 4 hours before every alien position had been overrun. Admiral Harrison received reports from across the solar system as humanity's coordinated attack continued. Alien fleet at Jupiter destroyed, Mars colonies liberated, Europa facilities captured. Their mothership is under our control. But the fight was not over. Long-range sensors detected more hegemony ships approaching from deep space. The aliens were bringing reinforcements, and these new vessels would be prepared for human weapons and tactics. Commander Zethka, badly wounded but still alive, was brought before Harrison as a prisoner. The aliens' arrogance had been replaced by confusion and rage. "You cannot defeat the Empire," he said through gritted teeth. "This victory means nothing. More ships are coming. Ships that know what you are capable of." Harrison looked down at the defeated alien commander. "Let them come. You made one mistake when you came to our world." "What mistake?" Zethka asked. "You threatened our children," Harrison replied. "Humans will fight to the death when their families are in danger. Your empire is about to learn that lesson the hard way." The first phase of humanity's counterattack was complete, but the real war was just beginning. Earth had proven that the mighty hegemony could be beaten, but now they would face an enemy that knew exactly how dangerous humans could be. The hegemony fleet retreated beyond Pluto's orbit after losing half their ships to humanity's surprise attack. The remaining alien vessels regrouped in the darkness of deep space while their commanders tried to understand how primitive humans had destroyed forces that had conquered dozens of worlds. War Marshal Vex Moore arrived 3 days later, commanding a fleet twice the size of the original invasion force. Unlike Commander Zethka, who now sat in an Earth prison cell, Vex Moore had studied the reports of humanity's capabilities. He was older, more experienced, and had no intention of underestimating the species that had humiliated the hegemony. "Show me everything," Vex Moore demanded as he reviewed the battle recordings on his flagship's main screen. He watched human soldiers in strange armor move faster than his troops could react. He saw weapons that passed through energy shields in ships, that appeared from nowhere to destroy his vessels. His tactical officer, a nervous alien with blue skin, pointed to the display. Their weapons use technology we do not understand. Our shields are useless against their quantum torpedoes. Their soldiers wear armor that makes them stronger and faster than our best warriors. Vexmore studied the footage carefully. They are still only human. They breathe oxygen, they bleed, they die. We simply need new tactics. He turned to his communications officer. Send word to all conquered systems. Any species that rebels against hegemony rule will be executed. We cannot allow the human victory to inspire others. But the message came too late. News of Earth's successful resistance had already spread across the galaxy through underground networks that the hegemony had never discovered. On 17 different worlds, enslaved species began attacking their alien overseers. The rebellion that started on Earth was becoming a galactic revolution. On the captured mothership, now renamed Defiance by its human crew, Chief Engineer Bobby Martinez worked day and night with Dr. Kevin Brooks to understand the ship's faster-than-light drive. If humans could master interstellar travel, they could take the fight to hegemony space instead of waiting for the next attack. The power requirements are enormous, Martinez explained to Captain Danny Torres, who had been given command of the alien vessel. We need energy sources that don't exist on Earth. But if we can make it work, we can reach their home systems. In weeks instead of years, Torres walked through the ship's corridors, still amazed at its size. The vessel was like a floating city with weapons powerful enough to destroy planets. Now it belonged to humanity, and they were learning to use every system aboard. What do you need to make it happen? Time and more alien technology, Brooks replied. The good news is that we're receiving distress signals from other systems, species that are fighting back against the hegemony. If we help them, we might gain access to technologies that could give us an advantage. President Lisa Martinez faced the most difficult decision of her presidency. Earth's military forces were spread thin after the recent battles. They had enough ships and soldiers to defend their home system, but not enough to fight wars across the galaxy. However, the distress signals kept coming from worlds that had heard about humanity's victory. The Kolari system sent a desperate plea for help. Their people had been slaves for 50 years until news of Earth's resistance inspired them to rebel. Now they were fighting hegemony forces with primitive weapons while their children hid in caves. They begged humanity to send aid before their entire species was wiped out. We can't save everyone, Defense Secretary Carl Johnson argued during an emergency cabinet meeting. Our responsibility is to protect Earth first. If we spread our forces too thin, we'll lose everything we've gained. Dr. Rachel Stone disagreed. The hegemony's strength comes from controlling hundreds of worlds. If we can liberate even a few of them, we create allies and reduce their power. This isn't just about Earth anymore. It's about freedom for every species in the galaxy. Admiral Kyle Harrison supported the rescue missions. Our new weapons give us advantages the hegemony can't counter easily. We can strike fast, help the rebels, and return before they can organize a response. But we need to be smart about which battles we choose. Meanwhile, War Marshal Vexmore began implementing new strategies specifically designed to counter human tactics. He ordered his ships to use rotating shield frequencies that would make quantum torpedoes less effective. His soldiers received new armor designed to resist plasma weapons. Most importantly, he began targeting human families and civilians to break their fighting spirit. The war escalated quickly. Hegemony forces attacked the outer colonies on Europa and Titan, using orbital bombardment to avoid facing human soldiers directly. Civilian shelters were targeted, forcing Earth's military to spread their defenses across multiple locations. Colonel Jake Miller coordinated the defense from his underground command center, while also organizing strike forces to help rebel worlds. His special operations teams had become experts at fighting aliens, but there were never enough soldiers to be everywhere at once. Captain Amy Walsh took her stealth ship on increasingly dangerous missions behind enemy lines. She destroyed supply convoys, rescued captured humans, and gathered intelligence on hegemony movements. Her ship Nightfall became legendary among both human forces and alien commanders who feared her silent attacks. Lieutenant Sarah Brooks had become the most effective human warrior in the war. Her experimental battlesuit had been perfected after dozens of battles, and she now led an elite unit of soldiers equipped with similar armor. They called themselves the Ghost Squad because they could appear anywhere and disappear just as quickly. The turning point came when Torres successfully activated the faster-than-light drive on the Defiance. The massive ship vanished from Earth, orbit, and reappeared near the Calari system within hours instead of the months it should have taken. The rescued Calari people shared their knowledge of hegemony, weaknesses, and provided locations of secret bases. More importantly, they revealed that other species possessed technologies that could help humanity. The Gentari had developed shields that could protect entire planets. The Morphex had weapons that could destroy ships from inside hyperspace. If humanity could unite these rebel forces, they could create an alliance capable defeating the hegemony. War Marshal Vexmore realized his situation was becoming desperate. What had started as a simple conquest of one primitive world had become a galactic war that threatened the entire empire. His superiors demanded results, but every battle seemed to make the humans stronger and more dangerous. The stage was set for the final confrontation. Humanity had evolved from victims to liberators, but the hegemony still possessed planet-killing weapons and the determination to use them rather than accept defeat. War Marshal Vexmore brought his entire remaining fleet to Earth's solar system for the final battle. He commanded over 200 ships, including 3 planet-killer vessels that could turn entire worlds into ash. The alien commander had decided that if the hegemony could not rule humanity, then humanity would not exist at all. "Today we end this rebellion," Vexmore announced to his fleet commanders. "The humans have inspired too many species to resist our rule. We will make such an example of their world that no one will ever dare challenge the hegemony again." The massive alien fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, their ships blotting out the stars as they advanced toward Earth. Every vessel was equipped with new shields and weapons, designed specifically to counter human technology. Vexmore had learned from his predecessors' mistakes and would not underestimate the species that had humiliated the Empire. Admiral Kyle Harrison watched the approaching armada from the bridge of his flagship Liberty. Earth's combined fleet looked small compared to the alien force, but humanity had advantages that Vexmore did not know about. Dr. Rachel Stone had spent the past months developing the ultimate weapon using technology gathered from across the galaxy. "All ships to battle stations," Harrison ordered. "This is what we've been preparing for. Today we show the galaxy that freedom is stronger than tyranny." On the surface of Earth, families huddled in underground shelters that stretched for miles beneath major cities. Children who had been born during the war had never seen a sky without alien ships in it. Parents told them stories about the time before the hegemony came, when humans lived in peace and looked up at stars instead of enemy vessels. President Lisa Martinez stood in the White House bunker watching displays that showed the approaching alien fleet. She had aged years in the months since the war began, but her voice remained steady as she spoke to the world. "This may be our final hour, but we will face it as free people. Whatever happens today, we have shown the galaxy that some things are worth fighting for." The battle began when hegemony long-range weapons opened fire on Earth's orbital defense platforms. Massive energy beams struck the space stations, but instead of being destroyed, the platforms absorbed the attacks and channeled the energy into their own weapon systems. This was Dr. Stone's first surprise, energy capture technology that turned enemy firepower against them. Impossible, Bexmore muttered as he watched his most powerful weapons make the human defenses stronger. What kind of technology is this? His tactical officer studied the sensor readings with confusion. The humans are using our own energy against us. Their defense platforms are actually growing more powerful as we attack them. The second surprise came from Captain Amy Walsh and her stealth ship Nightfall. She had been hiding in the asteroid belt for days, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. As the hegemony fleet advanced past her position, she activated the quantum resonance generators that Dr. Stone had developed. The devices looked like ordinary space mines, but they contained technology that could destabilize the exotic matter cores powering alien ships. Walsh had spent weeks placing them along the fleet's approach route, invisible to hegemony sensors, but devastating once activated. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. Ships throughout the alien formation began experiencing power failures. As their cores became unstable, some vessels lost propulsion and drifted helplessly through space. Others suffered complete system failures that left them defenseless. A few ships experienced core breaches that resulted in explosions visible from Earth's surface. "Retreat," one of Bexmore's commanders called out in panic. "Their weapons are destroying us from within. We cannot fight technology we do not understand." But Bexmore refused to withdraw. He had brought planet-killer weapons specifically to ensure victory, even if his fleet was defeated. "Launch the world-ender missiles," he commanded. "If we cannot conquer Earth, we will destroy it." 3 massive weapons launched from the alien flagship, each one capable of cracking a planet's crust and boiling away its atmosphere. They streaked toward Earth like falling stars, unstoppable by any conventional defense. Lieutenant Sarah Brooks had been waiting for this moment. Her experimental battlesuit had been modified one final time, equipped with a teleportation system that could transport her instantly across vast distances. The technology was untested and dangerous, but it was humanity's only hope of stopping the planet-killer missiles. She appeared in space directly in front of the first missile, her suit's life support systems keeping her alive in the vacuum. The weapon was larger than a building and moving faster than any human had ever traveled. But Sarah's enhanced reflexes allowed her to grab onto its surface as it passed. Working frantically, she used her suit's plasma cutter to burn through the missiles, outer shell, and access its control systems. The device's computer was protected by alien security protocols, but human hackers had learned to break hegemony codes months earlier. Sarah reprogrammed the weapon to target Bexmore's flagship instead of Earth. The second missile was stopped by Captain Danny Torres and the crew of the Defiance. The captured alien mothership intercepted the weapon with its powerful tractor beams and used its own teleportation systems to redirect the missile into deep space, where it exploded harmlessly. The third missile reached Earth's atmosphere before being destroyed by a coordinated strike from every remaining human ship. The explosion lit up the sky like a second sun, but the planet remained intact. Bexmore watched in disbelief as his ultimate weapons failed. The first missile had turned around and was now heading directly toward his flagship. His shields could not stop a weapon designed to destroy planets, and his ship did not have enough power to escape. "You have doomed your entire species," he transmitted to the human fleet as his ship was consumed by the planet-killer explosion. "The Empire will send more fleets, larger fleets. You cannot fight forever." But Bexmore was wrong. The hegemony empire was already collapsing from within. Rebel forces on 47 different worlds had overthrown their alien overseers after hearing about humanity's victories. The Empire's resources were stretched thin fighting wars across the galaxy, and they no longer had the strength to mount another invasion of Earth. More importantly, humanity was no longer fighting alone. The alliance Torres had helped create included dozens of species with technologies and knowledge that made humans even more dangerous. Together, they began hunting down the remaining hegemony fleets and liberating enslaved worlds. President Martinez addressed the United Nations 6 months after the final battle. Construction had begun on humanity's first interstellar colony ships, vessels that would carry Earth's children to distant stars. But these were not refugee ships fleeing from a destroyed world. They were the flagships of a new age. Admiral Harrison commanded a fleet of hybrid human-alien vessels as they prepared to escort the colony expeditions into deep space. Humanity would spread across the galaxy not as conquerors, but as protectors of freedom for all species. Not as the first colony ship departed Earth's orbit, its crew carried with them the lesson learned from their victory against the hegemony. Sometimes, the best response to an ultimatum demanding tribute is to make those who issued it run for their lives.